In this tutorial, we will begin the creative work on our mod map. We first need to start the Giants editor and open our map found under My Documents, My Games, Farming Simulator 2015, Mods, My Mod Map, Map01 i3D. First, let's have a look at how we can edit the terrain. To do this, we need to open the Terrain editing window. This window can be picked up and moved around the editor, or completely detached from the main window by holding down the left mouse button on the title bar. Most other windows in the Giants editor can be moved in the same way. Now we just need to look for a part of the terrain to customize, here for example near the circus. When we turn on Terrain Sculpt mode found here, our mouse pointer turns into a brush. The brush's radius indicates the area of terrain that will be altered when we press one of the three mouse buttons. In the Terrain editing window, we can see what settings our brush currently has. We have the radius, the opacity, the hardness of the edge, and a global value that defines how much of the terrain is modified at once. We can also choose whether the brush is round or square and which function is assigned to each mouse button. Normally, the left mouse button makes additions, the right subtracts, and the middle mouse button is used to smooth between the two. So, as we paint on the terrain with the left mouse button, it is raised. With the right button, it is lowered, and the middle button lets you smooth the surface. One useful function is Replace. This lets you set the terrain to a specific height, making it ideal for creating plateaus. In order to use this function, we need to first define the fixed height value. This can be done by simply moving our cursor to the area with the desired terrain height. Then by pressing Ctrl R, we can see that the value for Replace has been set. Now we need to assign the Replace function to a mouse button. Here we'll choose the middle mouse button and select Replace from the drop-down menu. Now when we paint with the middle mouse button, the terrain defaults to the fixed height we have chosen, raising or lowering where necessary. We can also limit this effect. Here, under Replace Limit, Lower, we can set it to only replace terrain that is lower than our chosen height. Any land that is higher will be unaffected. Likewise, if we change it to Replace Limit Higher, it will only lower terrain to the fixed height without raising the lower ground. Now we want to give our edited area a different texture, such as a different color. To do this, we need to switch to Terrain Detail Texture Paint mode, which can be found here. Then we can select the relevant texture from the Texture Layer drop-down menu, for example, dirt. When we then paint with the left mouse button, this is the texture we'll be applying. There's one important limitation to texture painting that we must remember. Notice that if we zoom out slightly, we can see white lines over the terrain. These divide the terrain into so-called terrain chunks. Within each chunk, we can only use a maximum of 4 textures, so don't go crazy out there. Once we are satisfied with our work, all that's left to do is save.